Welcome back, Mando. I love me that Carl Weathers. Star Wars and The Mandalorian fans unite and rejoice. Disney and Lucasfilm are bringing back The Mandalorian, and it's currently in the works. Aside from a third season, it's getting a few spin-offs which we'll talk about separately in another video. The show is a live-action series that brought to life Baby Yoda, saw the return of a certain Jedi, and spat back, so to speak, Boba Fett. In this video, we're going to talk about where The Mandalorian's adventures will take us next. We'll be diving into full spoiler territory, so you've been fairly warned. Proceed with caution. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss any of the new videos that we post. The first two seasons of the show largely centered on the adventures of Mando Din Djarin. Pedro Pascal may have been the lead star, but the true breakout star of the show was Grogu/Baby Yoda. However, the show looks to be radically different in the third series, as can be deduced from the finale of the second season. With that in mind, here's everything we need to know about it. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau will return for the show's third season. While much of the third season remains under wraps, as is often the case with Star Wars projects which are yet to be released, we know one thing for certain, and that it's the show's core creative team will be back. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, who have both spearheaded the project from the get-go, will be back. Favreau is the show's creator and main writer, while Filoni is the architect behind Star Wars Rebels and Star Wars The Clone Wars. A lot is poised to change in the third season, so fans are on the lookout. There have been a lot of controversy surrounding Gina Carano, and by now, everyone knows that she won't be coming back for the third season. Gina Carano was a big part of the show's first two seasons as Cara Dune. Following her controversial social media posts, she was fired by Lucasfilm and Disney from the series. Furthermore, she won't be appearing in any future Star Wars projects. We still don't know if her role will be recast or if the franchise will just come up with a twist in the story to explain why her character is suddenly gone. The Mandalorian 3 will find Grogu with Luke Skywalker. There was a huge bombshell drop during the finale of season 2. Here's where that spoiler alert applies. Luke Skywalker, portrayed by de-aged Mark Hamill, returned to Star Wars. The Jedi who dismantled the Dark Troopers without breaking a sweat saved Mando and his crew. He also took Grogu into his care to train him in the ways of the Jedi. The fan favorite may not appear in the third season, but if Grogu does return, it will likely mean that we'll see more of Luke Skywalker too. Either way, Baby Yoda being with Luke will change the dynamics of the entire season. Will Pedro Pascal be returning? Pedro Pascal has been the voice behind Mando since the show began. He may have not always been the man in the suit, but it's undeniable that Pedro was a huge part of the show. As such, it can be expected that Pascal is returning for another round of shenanigans in a galaxy far, far away. However, this time he will be without his trusty companion, Baby Yoda. This means that the dynamic at the center of the show will be changed. However, it doesn't matter, as fans will still follow Din Djarin's adventures. Who are the other characters that will be coming back? While Cara won't be back in season 3 and other future seasons, fans can expect to see familiar faces gracing their screens. Though there has been no confirmation yet, there is an abundance of options. There's Ming-Na Wen's Fennec Stan, Carl Weathers' Grief Karga, Giancarlo Esposito's Moff Gideon, and Tamira Morrison's Boba Fett. There's also Katie Sackhoff's Bo-Katan, who still has unfinished business with Mando. Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka Tano might also be back, and she's also getting her very own spin-off series. We'll touch on that later. The third season will help lead to a major Star Wars event series. The success of the show has prompted Lucasfilm and Disney to expand the scope of the Star Wars franchise. There are several spin-offs currently in the works, such as Rangers of the New Republic, Ahsoka, and the Book of Boba Fett. All these shows, including The Mandalorian, will all lead to yet an untitled Star Wars event series. There are no details yet, as is kept all under wraps, but we can all expect the third season of the show to sow more seeds that will grow in the unnamed event down the road. Will the third season go to Mandalore? During the finale of season 2, the Darksaber changed hands once again. Din became the rightful owner of the weapon after defeating Moff Gideon in combat. However, Bo-Katan also wants to defeat Moff Gideon to come into possession of the weapon, and this has created a tension between the two that hasn't yet been resolved. If you allow for a little speculation, it's likely that viewers will be visiting Mandalore in the upcoming season along with the cast. This will allow fans to explore the planet in live action and build on the lore of the Mandalorians. Now that the Razor Crest has been destroyed, will there be a new ship for Mando? Mando's ship, Razor Crest, was destroyed in the second season. The remnants of the Empire completely decimated, so it's to be expected that we'll no longer see his trusted ship in the third season. So everyone is asking, will Mando be getting a new ship? That is a question which we don't have an answer for yet. Unless they can completely rebuild the ship, we're guessing that Mando will be getting a new one, which is alright. We're venturing into rumor territory, but the Wookiees might be joining the action in the the third season. At least there are reports that say such things. At least. A few iconic alien species have already made their appearance on the show so far, and it would make great sense if they can also give the Wookiees some screen time. Yeah, and what we don't know though is what role the creatures would play in the series. It's unclear too if we're going to see a famous Wookiee such as Chewbacca. Only time will tell. So when will they start filming the third season? The new season is expected to begin filming this year, but because of the upcoming spin-offs, production wasn't as fast as people wanted it to be. The show is set to kick off production in April once they're done filming with The Book of Boba Fett. The filming is taking place in Los Angeles, California. Because the show uses a lot of advanced soundstage surrounded by screens, it eliminates the need for traveling, and filming can be done largely in one location. Handy. When is the release date? The Mandalorian 3 will not debut on Disney Plus this year. The first two seasons aired almost a year apart. However, Disney may break that pattern for the third season, and the new one will take longer than a year. The show is expected to arrive sometime in 2022. We're excited to see the trailer. The trailer for the second season debuted a month before the show did on Disney Plus. Disney has the reputation for releasing most of its show's trailers week to week, which eliminates the need to release trailers months before as they do with their movies. As such, we can all expect the trailer only a month or so before the third season debuts. So how did season 2 succeed, thereby ensuring a third season? The third season drew on deeply established lore from Star Wars, and it introduced a few crossover characters such as Cobb Vanth, Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan, and of course, Luke Skywalker. Their appearances resulted in some of the show's most memorable scenes. However, despite the star power brought in by the big names to the series, there was never any doubt as to who the show's protagonists were. Each of them contributed to Mando's mission and then went away once they had accomplished what they had set out to do. This allowed Grogu, Mando, and Gideon to resume their starring roles. Din and Grogu also generated the show's most emotional moments. The show did neglect the supporting characters that were established in the first season, including Greef Karga, Mythrol, Cara Dune, Fennec Shand, and Migs Mayfield. The crossovers were also consistent with their story. The events in season 2 followed the premise of a series set 5 years prior, which featured a Mandalorian and a Force-sensitive former Padawan. The show also portrayed old characters in a new light. They refrained from just dredging up old characters only to be put through the same paces. Bo-Katan, Cobb, and Ahsoka were new to fans who were only experienced Star Wars through the movies. Even die-hard fans who were familiar with the characters were excited to see them portrayed in live action for the very first time. I was shook about it. The show didn't presume that people watching the show had extensive knowledge about Star Wars. The great thing about The Mandalorian is that it didn't make any presumptions about people watching the show. You can be new to Filoni's series, but you still won't feel left out. The appearance of some characters might mean more to fans who are familiar with their past, but their pasts weren't necessarily to understand the story. However, we can't deny the fact that fans may have also felt bewildered on a few occasions. Some dialogues might have also confused people who haven't seen Rebels or read a few books. The beauty about the show is that the creators, Filoni and Favreau, cleverly opted not to force-feed viewers an overabundance of Star Wars mythology. This brings us to the end of our video. It's been fun discussing The Mandalorian Season 3 with you. Let's continue in the comments down below. Are you just as excited for the show's third season? What are you most looking forward to? Let us know again down below.